Hello and welcome back to Do It Yourself. In the previous episode of this series, I created the speaker cabinet inside the suitcase and mounted the speakers. At the end of the video, we could hear first sound from the system. That sounded promising. In this episode, I will create the mounting plate for the amplifier and organize the wiring inside the case. Enjoy, and don't forget to like, subscribe and comment.
Do it self!
I want to mount the knob sound amplifier in the top of the suitcase with the volume knob within hand reach. All connectors must be accessible from that same mounting point. I decided to use a steel mounting plate with patch wires to route knob sound power and jack connector to the outside of the suitcase. My initial plan was to use an inner and outer plate with the suitcase in between. However, both the connector and the rivets I used were not suitable for the 3 layers of material, so in the end I only used one plate. After cutting the plates, I copied the layout from my paper template and rounded the plate corners to avoid sharp edges. Drilling the hole seems like a straightforward task, but unfortunately I struggled a lot to get all holes aligned for the 2 plates. Should I have known that I would use only one plate, it would have saved me a lot of headaches. Anyway, I learned a lot about hole alignment in the process. After drilling the holes for the rivets, I gave the plates 6 coats of paint, 2 base coats, 2 black coats and 2 gloss finish. I copied the hole pattern to the suitcase and drilled all holes. Then I had to create the hole in the speaker cabinet. I marked out the volume knob hole first, since that would give me a reference for the total hole location. Then I marked the perimeter of the knob sound and cut the hole. I left some room for the speaker wires and connectors on the front of the knob sound. After riveting the plate and mounting the connectors, the result was already stunning. I stuck some protective material on the inside to protect the knob sound against scratches. It wasn't the easiest step of the project, but this step was done. On to the wiring. I started by creating a mounting plate for the crossover units. A simple piece of wood with holes did the job. A proper workpiece support is of course handy in all cases. By drilling the holes from two sides, I avoid splintering of the wood. I mounted the crossover units one by one in the mounting plate so I would be sure to reconnect the wires in the correct location by inspecting the other speaker. And finally, I mounted the plate with that thingy, you know, that rectangular piece. Please comment down below on the correct name if you know it. I moved on to the patch wires for the mini jack and the power connector. I used a spare mini jack connection wire that I had laying around, since the mini jack connection delivered with the knob sound had copper wires thinner than a human hair. It was impossible to solder that to a connector. I measured continuity on tip, ring and sleeve to find the correct way of soldering it, and then soldered and crimped the wires in place. The same process was applied for the 12-volt connector wire. Then I went on to organizing the speaker wires. Using a bunch of zip ties, I bundled the wires together as much as possible, and then hammered them into position with another part that I have no clue how to call it. Please help me out in the comments. The end result looks fabulous. I was not so happy with the knob sound mount. The amplifier could still move in the hole that I created. I decided to make a latch that leaves room for the wires, but keeps the amplifier in place. I used some scrap wood and a furniture hinge, which worked fantastic. A simple lock keeps the latch in place. It's probably not the best looking bit of the build, but it works great. Finally, I wrapped the speaker wires and screwed them into position with the final part that I have no clue how to call it. Please help me out in the comments below. Now the inside of the suitcase is done. It's well organized and leaves plenty of room for more stuff to put in there. More about that next time, together with the car power wiring and the mounting plates. For now, case closed. Thanks for watching, see you next time.
Do it self!